going to start headbanging here in a minute.
Acting like a robot.
Dave,
Yep.
I listened to that song. What did that come out in the early 1990s?
Yeah, that was on Countdown to Extinction.
And now you watch as the president is the head of the UN Security Council and the president, and they're openly announcing world government. How did you know all of this 15 years ago?
I don't know. Lucky guess, maybe. Paying attention to the news, listening to people like yourself, other people who are thinking, for themselves, and they're not being led off to slaughter like mindless sheep.
Amazing. Some stations just joined us. Dave Mustaine, the founder and guitarist and lead singer of Megadeth. Megadeth.com is the website. A lot about the band, what's happening, what's going on. But you got interrupted by the break. Let's get back into what influenced your new, very popular, out of the gates, just released album, Endgame. And you were getting into how they try to call us conspiracy theorists, but it's all now being announced. Dave Mustaine.
Yeah, it's really easy for people whenever you talk about things that are controversial in nature for people to sit on the sidelines and point their fingers. So when anybody says anything that's controversial in nature, especially stuff that has to do with our government or any of the administration, what do they say? It's anti-patriotic, or they say that you're just a nut job, and to be even more insulting. And it's our nation was founded on people who think outside of the box, people who questioned authority, people who looked at things and said, you know what, I don't agree with this.
Well, it certainly was. The cover of Endgame, a lot of people have emailed me saying, what is it? And I go, well, it's totally clear. It's a bunch of, and tell me if I'm wrong, like zombie slaves in concentration camp uniforms being marched off towards a pyramidal light, and there's stacks of the FEMA coffins that have been deployed all over the country at depots. And there's a bunch of flies basically feeding on the death surrounding it. Is that an accurate breakdown of the cover?
That's really, really, really close. Everything that you said is accurate. There's a little bit more symbology there that you might not have noticed. A lot of the biblical stuff, like with the parting of the Red Sea and the people going through. There's also the barcode that's on their heads. If you look closely inside of the album cover, it has a larger picture, but if you look closely on the cover, there's what appears to be a mohawk going up the back of these guys' heads. That's not what it is. When you get inside of the cover and you look at it, it's the barcode, because, they say nothing can be bought or sold without the mark, and it's going to be on your hand and your forehead, but nobody said it's going to go, left to right. How about if it's, fashionable like a mohawk? And then the thing with the flies on the outside and the way that they're just waiting, that was one of the plagues that happened to Egypt.
One of the biblical plagues, and I see it. They've got barcodes on the backs of their heads. They're in Gitmo orange jumpsuits, marching in what looks like a mass grave.
Mm-hmm. And they're going through the Red Sea of those black FEMA coffins. Those are the walls of the Black Sea being held back.
Well, there you have it from Dave Mustaine. And am I right to say that it kind of nexuses at a paramount point, like the eye of Lucifer or the eye of Satan, that is energizing this scene?
Wow, that's pretty heavy. No, we didn't. I didn't go that deep with that particular part of it. There is a light that they're heading to at the end, but it was more kind of like I don't know if the Eye of Horus or whatever, that kind of whole Stargate kind of thing where you're stay away from the light. You know what I mean? It was just something that they were walking to. And it was just something that we, in blind faith, are walking to, and we don't even realize what we're walking through.
Absolutely. Wow, what a heavy cover. And I've seen, doing some research for this interview and also checking the album out, all these people speculating what it is, and I looked at it immediately and said, yeah, those are people marching to their death.
Yep.
But amazing. Tell us about some of the songs in the album.
Okay, the album starts off with a classic guitar duel, and I think a lot of your listeners will really dig the lyrics on this record, but there's also a lot of great guitar work. Guitar players have become very sissified because heavy metal in America, it peaked in the 90s when all the hair bands came out and it lost its integrity to a lot of people. and it went underground, and now it's making a resurgence. They came through a period where they weren't even doing guitar solos. This record is full of guitar solos, and we start off with an instrumental that's just, lobbing guitar solos back and forth to each other, or volleying them back and forth with me and our other guitar player. And the next song is called "This Day We Fight," which is influenced by the war speech that Aragorn gave in, or whatever his name was, in Lord of the Rings. Saying that, hey, man, we may die tomorrow, but we're not going to die today, because this day we're going to fight, and we're going to kick butt, and we're going to take down names. And that's how it's been for us. We've really had to fight an uphill battle, but it really seems like the worm's turned. Websites like Blabbermouth that have hated me since the day that they started gave us an 8.5 on our new record, and they said that it's time for them to pay attention to Professor Dave, and I'm thinking, what? This is a website that whenever I would say anything, they would post a story about it and slam me. So it's amazing the way that everything is turned around right now for us, for me, for just sticking to my guns too, because there was a period where a lot of heavy metal bands reinvented themselves. So then we go into different songs, like 1320 is a song about drag racing, and the National Hot Rod Association loves the song. We've got a song called 44 Minutes, which is about the North Hollywood bank robbery that happened back in the 90s. And then, of course, the title track, which is about the document that I discovered that our former president had signed, that, it was brought to my attention by searching the web, knowing who you are, and also seeing the part that you posted about Lou Dobbs, because I really respect that guy. And I thought, there's just something really wrong about this. And I looked into it, and I thought, that's it. I'm going to sing a song about this, because it's perfect. It completely predicts, because I read 1984 when I was just a kid, and I've got so many songs about this, like Hook and Mouth was about that. There was just a whole bunch of stuff that talks about this future world that we're just blindly marching into.
Well, we certainly are blindly marching in. We have video and photos of neighborhoods with no one even protesting, with the Pittsburgh police in Pennsylvania saying for the G20, no one's allowed to congregate, no one's allowed to be on the street. They say, flee, flee, and then they turn on the sound cannons. They hit my employees with it. We've got video of them walking up to women and billy clubbing them in the head. Video. Pardon me?
I said, oh, my God.
Oh, no, it's incredible. We've got video. In fact, we'll play some of it in the background for people watching at prisonplanet.tv, not just on the radio, of the military pulling up and grabbing peaceful protesters, snatching and grab and cramming them into unmarked police cars. The military. I mean, wow. So they're not only announcing the world government and the world tax, and Obama is now a dual president in the UN and the U.S. As the chairman of the Security Council, but now the military's, I mean, it's like they want us to know that they're in control.
Yeah, I think so, huh? Wow. That's so sad.
I guess you take a mortal man, you put him in control. Watch him become a god.
That's right. And these things, that I've been talking about them forever. And as long as I can write music, I've been talking about stuff like this. It didn't really get to a point where people would, really take anything that I said seriously. I mean, imagine what it's like for these poor guys that sing songs about dragons.
Well, exactly. But I mean, again, I've gone over the years and read your lyrics again, and it just rung true when I was 20 years ago. I mean, I've been listening to Megadeth since it started when I was about 12, and when you started it, and I was like, I don't know. It was always probably my favorite, if not my favorite, heavy metal band. I like the speed metal and everything, the mix and the different. And I like the fact that you're not fake. You've never changed. You've expanded and grown, but it's never changed. You're not changing your hairstyle or acting silly or trying, I mean, you're doing what you want to do, being authentic. And I think that really underlines what you've done with Megadeth.
Well, I think that's a very American way, too, just to be true to yourself and to stand up for what you believe in. It's hard for people to really stand up for what they believe in anymore because, if you do something like that, they'll vilify you. If you're doing anything that isn't status quo, it was hard in the very beginning to be open about my life, the problems I had, and to be open about, the band and problems we had, and people were not responding to that very well. But now at this point, I can always say that, you know, I've been sincere since the beginning. You see these other guys that do these image makeovers and go from one band where they're dressed like, you know, they're the front man for Chains Addiction, and then the next band they're in, you know, in some like biker band, and it's like, how can you sell that? How can you convince you know, your fans or the following that one day you can be an androgynous space queen and the next day you can be, you know, the spawn of the Big Red Machine, you know?
Well, again, you have been anti-New World Order, anti-global government. How long's Megadeth been around? 21 years? Longer?
Yeah, it's been close to 25 years. When we started,
wow.
it took a little time until we got the first lineup and went into the studio to record. That happened.
Stay there, Dave. Got to break again. Sorry to cut you off. We'll be right back. Amazing. Dave Mustaine.